Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Wednesday the 21st of August, and today we'll have a look at Palo Alto Networks, the cybersecurity company that released earnings Monday evening after market, and it surprised the market on the positive side, closed up 7%. It has now finally closed the gap closed the gap that was created here back in February, March, and it is set to move higher. You can see here also on the weekly chart, it is very close to its all-time highs. And there seems to be like a race between the good companies and the bad companies in the cybersecurity market, where we have some of the big ones doing really good, and some of the smaller ones struggling. Maybe we'll have some bit of a consolidation going on, but the all-time highs just above 380 spot 84 is likely to be tested here fairly shortly. The RSI is pointing to higher levels. We are in an uptrend both daily and weekly, and there's currently no divergence on the RSI, so everything looks to be in balance with potential higher highs. Has to be noted, I'm a shareholder in Palo Alto. This is just a disclaimer I have to mention it. I have been for quite a long time. The S&P 500 paused a little bit yesterday, but it is in an uptrend, closed above the gap and above the resistance of 55.66 is above the cloud. Could challenge for the previous all-time highs here fairly shortly, but let's see. It does seem like we should have a bit of correction as long as it doesn't close this gap, meaning closing below 5,455. Then the picture is still bullish. On the Nasdaq 100, also pausing yesterday, of course, support at 19,522. We are above all moving averages, 55 pointing higher. Next key resistance to 20,041, but the key is 20,211. It needs to close above, then let's close this gap also. I think it will be challenged fairly shortly, but whether it can break above it or not, that will be interesting to see. EUROSTOXX 50 49.07, key resistance just below the cloud. It's just below 55 moving average, just still below 100 moving average. Still negative sentiment on the RSI. Could see a little bit of a setback, but it has supported 48.12, and the 200 moving average coming up, giving some support. So I think it will stay up here around 4,800 here for a little while at least. The DAX index above all its moving averages. 18,557 is the next resistance. It is not the strongest one, but it is there, and it could be tested. However, RSI is still in negative sentiment. We need RSI to close above 64, supporting higher levels. An index that is currently struggling a little bit despite having this very strong rebound. The AX Amsterdam index. It is trading around this gap area here. It did close above, and now it's back into it. And if it does close below, it could spell some trouble. And we're also having the RSI being still showing negative sentiment. It needs to close back above 64 for really pushing higher. 55 moving average, giving some resistance there. Also, we are currently around the 100 moving. So it's a little bit treading water here at the moment. And it's hard to say what is, but if it takes out the peak from yesterday, 911, I think it will push higher to 927. But if it does close below 900 again, then I think we will see a renewed sell-off. The CAC index, very strong bounce above the 74.64 resistance now to support, potential up to around 7,600. Excuse me. RSI really needs to close above the 60 threshold for further upside potential above 7,600. Let's see if it can do that. If it slides back below 74.64, then we could see a push to this area here at 73.70 and 7,300. Finally, on the Swiss market, I think it will challenge the all-time highs here fairly shortly, maybe later this week. But we could also be in for a little bit of correction before we see the next boost up. Onto the FX market and euro dollar, very close to the peak from December last year at 111.40. I think, and we are in this exhaustion area here, at least short term. I think we will see a little bit of a setback, and let's just have a look. We don't have a top and reversal pattern just in place, but we could play with the Fibonacci levels to see, okay, where could we see a correction down to if we just take the last leg up here. Well, then 110.35-ish, we could see a correction down to that. But RSI is showing positive sentiment. There's no divergence indicating we're likely to see higher highs after a possible correction. If it takes out 111.40, you can see where it comes from. Then there's not any resistance until around 112.75. You can see after breaking out in this triangle-like pattern, it gives potential up to 112.75 at least. The theory is that if we should get up to the highest peak of the triangle pattern, which is also around the 38.2 projection of from the lows to the highs here and projected higher. So fairly strong bullish trend on a euro dollar. On euro sterling, you can see here also on the weekly chart, it is still never closed above the upper falling trend line. It is struggling a little bit to gain any upside momentum, testing the 100 moving average, testing the upper part of the cloud, could test the 85 level. If it gets back above the 200 moving average, maybe we could see it crawl a little bit higher. The RSI positive sentiment indicating that we should see higher levels on euro sterling, but it is struggling a little bit and could slide lower in a correction phase. The sterling dollar cable touched the previous peak here just around 130.45. I think we will see a little bit of a correction back here, and then we could see it at the next move higher. Maybe I could give a lift to the euro sterling pair, but hard to say. The cable, as you can see here, it is trading medium term weekly chart in an uptrend, higher highs, higher low, higher high, higher low, and higher high here. Also here, a strong resistance between 131 and 131.5. Dollar yen bounced just a few cents above the 61.8 retracement here. Could still test it. We are in a negative sentiment, as you can see here on the RSI, and we are in a bearish trend. But if it can break above the upper falling trend line there once again, well, then maybe we could see a push towards the 149.40. But we are in a negative sentiment. Look out for a test of 144.62. We should see lower lows around 143.25. Euro yen range bound between 160.50 and 164. I want to break out of this range before I say anything about a direction. It should be to the downside, but it's not given at the moment. Also yen, also here, 96.75 key support. If it takes out that, then I think we'll see a push down to around 93.5, 93.65. If it takes out 99.20, then we are looking at 99.90, possibly higher. Sterling yen, key support 187.85. We can see it was almost down there testing the 38.2 retracement. If it takes out that level, then I think we'll see a push down to 185, 183 level. In this region here, we should see a lower low, but it's really trying to break higher. If it takes out 192 once again, then I think we'll see a push towards 155 at least. Aussie dollar, expect a little bit of a correction, but it is in a bullish trend with the potential up to 68. Dollar Canada, key support 135.90. I think it will be tested possibly today or tomorrow, and then I expect a little bit of a bounce back to 136.5, 136.70 in this region around here. I'm not quite sure we'll get all the way up to 137, could be though, but if it does close below 135.90, then expect further selling pressure. EURSWISS, not really doing much. Well, we had a negative day yesterday, but we are in a bearish trend. This is for now merely just a correction phase, and we should see it picking up a selling pressure towards the 38.2 retracement at 94.45, possibly a lower. If it takes out the 96.10, 96.12, then I expect to move up to around 97, but you can see the 55 moving average coming down and the 200 also coming down, and we're actually having a death cross where the 95 is crossing over the 200, and that is underlying not good for upside potential in EURSWISS dollar Swiss. Spiked almost down to the 786 retracement at 85, trading currently around the 61.8. I think we'll see a push lower here also to 85, and then we could see a bounce on the dollar Swiss. Finally, on the dollar index, as we can see, it actually took out the key support at 101.62. There's not really any support until around 100, but 32, which is the low from here back in December. I think we will see a test of the now resistance at 101.62, but we are in a downtrend. So even if we get a correction up to 102 and even 102.30, we are still in a bearish trend. Gold higher yesterday, a little bit setback today, but we are in a bullish trend, and I think we are likely to see higher levels. We could still see a test of the 24.84 support here, but we are in a bullish trend. A little bit of divergence seems to be building up though. Let's just check it. See here, yeah, we can see it's declining a little bit, so we have a little bit of divergence, but it will be cancelled. It's so little, so it will be cancelled if we get a new higher close here within the next few days. You can also see on the weekly chart, very strong move up there, and we have the RSI also forming or indicating divergence, indicating uptrend exhaustion, but the trend is still valid until it reversal pattern is identified, and not just yet. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. The silver spot trading around the 29.45 resistance, and the RSI just below the 60 threshold. We need a close above 29.45, and we also need RSI definitely to close back above 60. If it does, well, then there is potential higher. $30 will be a little bit of a struggle, but again, if we can get RSI back above 60, then I think it will be broken. Copper for 22.35, still that key resistance to look at, and the upper falling trend line currently being tested. So if it takes out that resistance, then we're looking at 440, possibly higher. On the energy market, still you can see the WTI has a sell-off again, could challenge the lows here at 67, sorry, and that will challenge that lower rising trend line here on the weekly chart. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at levels down here around 64, 63. We should see a push down to that. I don't think we'll say massive collapse, but still, it is to the downside at the moment. You will see on the daily, it's all below all moving averages. They're all declining. On the weekly, below all moving averages, and most of them declining. The only one going up is the 200 moving average, and really the same picture on Brent crude oil. You can see here it could very well test the lower rising trend line. On the US Treasury yields, we have the US 10-year again testing this key support here at 379 and the 61.8 retracement. So can it hold, or will it break below and move to 373, 365 maybe even in this region here? But for now, it is holding on, so keep an eye on that. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and have a trading.